I have been planning to buy a television for a while and had done all the necessary research and kept going back and forth from Sony to TCL, my mood and choice shifting like the Nairobi weather. On the one hand, Sony is Sony, the best of the best. TCL is arguably the best of the cheapest depending on the model that you're going for. I wanted something greater than 49s and had opted for the TCL to start off and possibly upgrade at a later date. The telly I wanted was costing $44,500, $45,000 on OLX. This was the budget I had set for myself. I walked into this shop under a banner written Deliverance Church. Right there sat the television I wanted. I asked how much it cost, and the guy, a skinny fellow, let's call him Skinny Joe, said it was $40,000. I was taken aback at the low cost, but didn't show anything emotional with my facial gestures. I asked for the remote and verified this indeed was the exact television and not a knockoff. Connected my own Wi-Fi to ensure the television worked well with YouTube and the picture quality was quite favorable for the price. I asked what his best price was. He said he would be willing to do $37,000. We haggled for a bit, and he was unable to go lower without ushering over his colleague, let's call him Katumbo for obvious reason. He asked me how much I was willing to purchase the TV for, and I said my budget was $35,000. He said he was unable to go beyond $36,500, and I bid him adieu. He stopped me from leaving and instructed Joe to wrap it up for me for $35,500. I told him I didn't want the television that was on display because it had some scratches and opted for one from the box. Joe started to write up a receipt for me and said he was unable to request for the TV from the store without cash in hand. I should have known there was no way a shop in Luthuli would have such checks and measures in place for their business process. I told him even when I ordered goods online, I would pay upon delivery and wasn't going to purchase something I didn't see. Katumbo instructed Joe to go fetch the television. I had waited for about 5 minutes when I started to grow impatient. All of a sudden, a 55 UHD 4K TCL television was pushed into the shop. This caught my eye. I asked Katumbo how much the television was, and he told me it was $45,000. I couldn't believe my luck. This was how much I had budgeted to spend on a 49 and was now getting an upgrade without breaking my bank. I asked him if I could test it. At this point, there had been about 7 people in the shop. Some in the corner that had been referred to as electricians, a drunk, we'll call him Clint the drunk, that had been lying in the bench situated in the middle of the store. He kept interrupting me as I was testing the 49 TCL. Gave them a few minutes and they set up the 55 curved UHD TCL for testing. I connected my Wi-Fi to the television and was satisfied with all the features, although I would have preferred a flat TV since per my research there is no point for a TV to be curved. I told Katumbo I will be taking the curved one if we could come to an understanding. We ended up settling at $41,500, which is a pretty good deal for a television costing upwards of $55,000 according to the research I had done. I watched as the receipt was drawn up by yet another person. We'll call this guy Angry One. So as he's drawing up the receipt, I hand the cash to Skinny Joe, all $41,500 of it after I had withdrawn some additional cash. As Angry One is drawing the receipt, he informs me that I will need to purchase the receiver for the television to unlock its memory and enable me view all channels. I tell him that's fine. I don't need it since I don't really watch television. I was going to use the telly for YouTube, Netflix, and HDMI connections. He informs me that the television won't work without it and that it is a CCK requirement. I tell him I don't need it. He then pulls out a catalog printed on light green paper showing the 2 distinctions of plug-and-play televisions such as Samsung and Sony versus the others that are direct TV like the TCL that requires the receiver. I ask to see a sample of the component, and he shows me a white device that seemed like a signal splitter from what they use as their decoder, leading to the various TVs on display in the shop. I went back to speak to Katumbo and told him I wasn't aware of this additional component and would like my money back. He says the money is non-refundable and I can only perhaps select a plug and play TV. I told him I don't want another television. I just want my funds back. He starts showing me the catalog with much more expensive televisions costing upwards of $60,000. I insist for him to give me my money back. I quickly check online and notice there is no mention of such an attachment for any TV ever. I ask Angry One how much the component is as I start to notice what is happening now. He informs me it's 25,000. We argue for a while as I call BS on this receiver he claims I require. I final